What up, my rival gang? Anybody from the YouTube space seeing this video? So I'm assuming y'all clicked on this video because y'all see your boy Blackheart, right? Or you read the title and you're wondering yourself, what would Blackheart be like if he joined Marvel Rivals? Now, for starters, y'all, listen, this is just for fun and conversational pieces only. This is not to be taken serious. It's not, because we don't know what these characters would do at the end of the day. We just don't, right? But what we can do is sit here and brainstorm, maybe come up with ideas that might not necessarily be for this character. Maybe they could be used for another character, right? But it's just for us to have fun and ultimately talk about, man, what would this character potentially be like if they joined the game? So with that being said, all the seriousness out of the room, let's move forward. So we have Blackheart, Hell's Bulwark, Warden of the Dam. And they have him at a 4-star. Now, do I think this should be a 4-star character? I don't know. Do y'all think he should be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Y'all tell me, what would y'all expect if this man actually joined the game? What level of difficulty based on what you know about him and his abilities, right? Because this man is pretty much literally a demon when it comes to the comics. I mean, from teleportation to hellfire to mind manipulation. I mean, the man is a beast. I mean, he's literally a demon, literally. So with that being said, I have him at 700 HP. Obviously, that could go up or down. 95 damage per second, a 350 shield, and a 6.5 movement speed. Now, I don't think that that's bad. I think those would be solid stats for a tank. Now, to go into his abilities, right? Because this is really what we care about the most. What his abilities look like in game. So this is what I have for you. So we have the left mouse button click, which is the spine slam, right? It says tail swipe or bone spine volley, short range, high knockback, displaces enemies from objectives, and contest frontline space. Now, I think we can all agree, or at least I think, tanks should have some form of CC mixed into their primary melee abilities with characters like this, right? Because that's what they're meant to do. They're meant to bully to a certain degree. So, you know, eventually, once you get that stack, that boom, 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 knock, or something along those lines, right? I think that's great for a character like this. And it even says spine bone volley. So I don't know if you would be able to alter between doing melee and doing range. I think that would be pretty sick with this character, which I think would be what also increases that level of difficulty of knowing when to switch from range and then switch back to melee for the knockbacks and things like that. I think this would be a great thing for a character like this as far as his primary working in some form of capacity, right? Even if we decide to go with the dart lightning or dart bolt instead of the spine volley, because, you know, again, the more you know about the character, that'll kind of help y'all understand what I'm saying. But, you know, just ultimately being able to switch from melee and range, I think that would be pretty sick. So then we have the right mouse button, the Hellwork Barrier. So it says raise a Dark Force wall, 350 HP, that absorbs incoming projectiles. Each hit absorbed generates soul energy, a resource visible to all allies as a purple meter above the barrier. Allies standing behind the wall passively drain that soul energy to reduce their ability cooldowns by 1 second per 25 energy consumed. Barrier recovers at 400 HP per second at a 1.5 delay. Now, what I like about this is that it gives tanks something a little bit extra to do for their team, right? It's not necessarily like CC or anything like that. Of course, crowd control for those of y'all that don't know what CC means, but I think that this adds a different layer of helping your teammates achieve their overall goals, right? I was thinking with a character like Psylocke, this would go insane because she already has a natural cooldown reduction just based on you using her abilities. So, you know, any character, honestly, this would benefit. But then I also thought to myself, instead of doing a cooldown reduction, what if this shield actually gave HP back to the allies? I think that would be a great thing, because one thing that we don't like in this game for most people is the triple support. Now, obviously, some people will say, well, what if you just did triple support on top of this? I mean, that is true. That would be maybe a overwhelming, may feel overwhelming with too much heals going on, but also maybe a character like this will nullify, you know, comp needing 3 supports, because now you have a tank. So that way, maybe you have a secondary tank, or just 2 tanks in general, a Blackheart and another tank, to where you don't need that third strategist, right? Y'all get what I'm trying to say. I really believe that something like this, if tanks came along with more abilities like this would kind of help alleviate the triple strategist you know, syndrome that we have right now. Hopefully that's not offensive to say, but y'all know what I mean. Like, it would just stop the triple strategist pandemic that we have right now going on. So I think that would be something to consider, right? Now moving on to the next ability, we have E, Soul Aegis, 200 HP soul bubble on an ally for 2.5 seconds, shatters on expiry, dealing AoE damage to nearby enemies, 12-second cooldown. Now, I think this is a great ability as well. You know, depending on range, this will definitely, I feel, help with dive. Obviously this is still going to help teams push. You know, in domination games, I think this would be great because, I mean, 200 HP, some people may think, that's a little too much, and maybe it is, I don't know. But at the same time, you don't want the shield to burst too quickly, because if that's the case, I mean, you would never really be able to take advantage of the AoE damage. Now, in a brawl, I don't think it would really matter, because if you're brawling, it's going to burst so fast anyway and apply that damage. I think that would be, you know, something to, again, add that layer of protection as a tank to help others around you ultimately get the job done, right? These are the type of abilities that we want, and it's not, you know, anything self-centered. Again, you're helping the team by actually helping the team. You're actually looking for ways to protect your teammates, or at least a teammate with this ability, to, again, achieve the ultimate goal, which is take the space, move the point, things of that nature, right? All right, moving forward, which I think is probably going to be the most fun ability right here, which is honestly, this is the mobility option, but the shift, which is Hell Gate Charge. So it says step into hell and re-emerge at speeds, charging through and pulling enemies toward you on exit, 12-second cooldown. Clearly, this is a kidnap ability. Now, some may say, you know, it can be a getaway ability as well, which it can be, but I can see this being used in so many ways, honestly, to where you can kidnap someone and bring them, blow them up. Or heck, if somebody's diving, for example, you can take them away, or even, you know, distance them even further for a disadvantage for them to where they can get blown. I mean, there's just so many ways that I can see an ability like this working. Now, do I think it should be able to take multiple people? Probably not. I can see it being, you know, obviously just one person, right? They misposition bad and things like that. But like I said, you need to escape. I can really see this being probably the most fun part of his kit, especially from the kidnapping aspect of taking one of the enemy players and then y'all just doing what you need to do to get them off the board. I think that would be a crazy ability. So now here we have the F and the C. So I know usually I think I want to say these are usually the team up abilities. Now sometimes you have characters with multiple abilities that are alternate abilities, very similar to Gambit, right? If that makes sense. So I'm just gonna read these for as they are, and y'all can kind of just go from there with what y'all think, because clearly these aren't team up abilities because there's no team ups here. So with that being said, F, Mark of Corruption. Brand an enemy, forcing them to target Blackheart or suffer 25% increased damage if they attack others. Marked enemies move 20% slower, 14-second cooldown. Now, reading this ability, I'm not mad at it. I mean, the 25% increased damage is a bit much. I think it just causes a little too much discourse, but I do like the fact that it does create a slow, you know, almost like a fear or something. I do like that part of it, and I do like the part of where, you know, again, if we're talking about the mind manipulation part of Blackheart, where it forces you to attack him. You know, I think those things kind of go hand in hand, but that 25% increased damage, I mean, if it's needed, it's needed. That's something that I would have to see, I guess, in play for me personally. But everything else about it, I'm not really too upset about, or, you know, I think it would be a great addition to a character like this. All right, so for the C, they have Damnation Pulse. It says wide shockwave interrupts all channeled abilities and silences every nearby every nearby enemy simultaneously, 15-second cooldown. Great ability. Now, some people may not like the fact that it targets all of the enemies. I won't disagree with that, because, I mean, shutting down a whole team, especially, like I said, in a game like Domination, where most people are kind of on top of each other at a certain point, yeah, man, that could be very problematic. That could be very overpowering, right? Now, like I said, there's something where you can target this ability on one specific character or something. Again, not bad. I think it helps the team. Like I said, it allows you to also have a little bit more control to where you can shut down certain things before they happen, right? You know, though that 1 or 2 seconds, you know, that matters sometimes, right? That could literally be the difference of winning or losing a game, especially when it comes to using the ultimate or something, right? I think that like I said, that would be a great ability for a character like this. But like I said, do I think it should hit everybody? Probably not. But y'all let me know what y'all think. So we're almost at the end here. So we have the ultimate, right? I know this is the part that everybody really cares about the most when it comes to these characters. So we have Lord of the Damned. Blackheart expands to an enormous size for 8 seconds, gains full CC immunity, generates a 300 HP team shield on nearby allies, and periodically erupts with Hellfire AoE. Each kill extends duration by 1.5 seconds. Now, I do think that this could be a crazy ability, right? This is very similar to White Fox and to a certain extent as far as gaining size. Now, how big in size we're talking about, I don't know, right? Again, that was something we would have to see. But I don't think this is a bad ultimate, especially the fact you give your team an initial 300 HP shield, right? So that's on your Lucio right there. And then on top of that, you spew out Hellfire AoE. Now, how often you're spewing that out, and on top of how much damage it does, right? I mean, with all the healer abilities and stuff like that, do I think this would be super crazy? No, because anybody could just counter with the heal ultimate, and it's not that strong. But if you're able to pull this off and there's nothing defensively to stop this, this is a great ability. This is a great ability to have on a tank for sure, because you're going to be able to take out a team. There's no doubt in my mind running this ability, like this might actually be a little too strong. Heck, maybe it needs to be a shield of 250 or heck, I don't even know, 200. 300 might be too much, because I just think abilities like this would be very, very strong. Now it says it has 3 charges. Now I don't know if, again, going back to kind of like the White Fox scenario, are you applying these shields to the characters, you know, one by one, or is this something that's all happening simultaneously, you know, where it goes up to 3 characters, maybe close in proximity? Who knows? I don't really know what it means by the 3 charges. I really do apologize about that. But overall, if it was that, I wouldn't be upset. Right now, if you're sending these out, I would probably lower it to maybe like 200, you know, per shield or something like that, and you would probably only be able to use that shield like every, they say this lasts 8 seconds, so let's just say you have to have like a 2-second cooldown for each shield that you send out. You know, I think that'll be great. I think that would be something cool for a tank like this. You know, again, y'all keep in mind, this is all for fun, not to be taken seriously. So if y'all have any recommendations on certain parts, just put it in the comments. Just say, hey, this is what I would do to the Q instead, or this is what I would change the Q, or whatever, or any of these abilities, right? Like I said, y'all just say what your piece is. And then just the last part here, which probably should have been at the beginning, the passive, no soul to burn. So it says immune to life drain, healing reduction, and soul targeting effects. Those effects instead grant 40 bonus health per hit, maximum 200, decaying at 10 HP per second out of combat. Now, with this passive, I understand why they did that, because they probably don't want the cooldown reduction to be on his abilities. Rather, so he would just heal and get some HP back, or at least bonus health back, because he's not really healing. He would just get some bonus health. So I'm not mad at that, you know. I can see that actually being a thing, but just the fact that you're immune to life drain, life steal, essentially, and healing reduction. Basically, this would be a counter to a character like Blade, right? Even Venom, you know, his ultimate wouldn't work on him. So yeah, I mean, if a character like this, if Blackheart came in with a kit very similar to this, I don't think people would be too upset. I think this would be pretty solid. Obviously, there's some things that, you know, up for discussion. You know, again, this is just meant for fun, y'all. So y'all let me know what y'all think. What would you change? What would you keep? What would you add on? You know, and yeah, you know, this was very fun to do. I plan on doing maybe like 1 or 2 of these per week on characters that have yet to hit the Marvel scene. Because again, we don't know what these characters will do, and we don't know what direction they will go in. Like, for example, I thought of doing the strategist version of this, which I did, but then I was like, you know what? I really can't see him being a strategist. I can see him having strategist-like abilities, but his overall being of a character, I wouldn't even want him to see him as a strategist. I think Vanguard would be the perfect slot for him if they added another tank to the game, right? I mean, of course, we have Colossus, we have Juggernaut, Pick, Rhino, tanks like that that are, I'm sure, coming to the game soon. But I think as far as a fun tank, I think Blackheart would be so fun. Especially, like I said, being able to switch between your melee and range as a primary attack. I think that's just a whole nother level. And then the kidnapping ability with the Hellgate charge, man, that would be pretty fun. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Like I said, do y'all want this character to be a 4-star difficulty or 1, 2, 3? You know, like I said, this is all for fun at the end of the day. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this. And like I said, leave a comment. Y'all like and y'all subscribe. I appreciate every and all support that I receive. Much love, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.